Hello, hello, welcome back. How's everybody doing today? How's your holiday week? We are here nearing Christmas, of course. What are you guys thinking right now? Obviously, it is the big story, of course, is the decision, the Semenyo decision. I don't know, what's everybody panicking about? What is everybody freaking out about? I don't know. Where's all this negativity coming from? What has actually occurred that's making people so negative right now on this whole thing? Nothing's happened. We're where we were. We're where we were. Some interesting reports around this so far, talking about, of course, how Semenyo's going to make his what is on my shirt? Oh, it's a fluff. He's going to make his decision based on a football project and all of that. And yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not yet concerned at the moment, but we'll see. We will see. We know it. We know it. We don't know yet what his decision is. What's the news? Chelsea. Semenyo apparently leaning. Yeah, that's a ton of guesswork. Okay. Remember, if you guys remember back on Delap, it was every single week. It was a new story, a new guess. I knew this, I knew that. I knew, oh, he's leaning this way, he's leaning that way, he's leaning this way, he's leaning that way, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's upside down, he's backwards, he's over his head. They don't know. Nobody does. Nobody does. They don't know any of this shit. None of them know. All right. What we got yesterday from David Ornstein was that he wasn't going to go to Tottenham, and that obviously he was still looked at. Manchester City and Manchester United. Now, Chelsea coming in is a new wrinkle, certainly, in the story. But I got to say this about Chelsea. If you go as a forward and choose Chelsea, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Because I'll be quite honest, man. I'll be quite honest. I just don't get the thing with choosing Chelsea. They'll just buy another player if you don't kick on within 1 month. They'll buy another player and another player and another player and another player, and it'll just go on and on endlessly, until who knows, at the end of it. What are you going to do? Chelsea is a terrible, terrible choice, in my opinion. I mean, look, they're 3 points ahead of us right now after their billions, and they're just going to keep buying players and players and players and players and players. And anyone choosing Chelsea right now, I look at them and I go, if you're going to make that choice, see ya. I definitely think we are not missing out if a player is choosing Chelsea. I'll be honest with you on that. If a player chooses Chelsea, it tells me that at this point that they're I don't know, that the decision making that they have isn't wonderful. And I think it ties into more than that. Here's the crazy part. If you look at everything that's going on here and you genuinely say, picking us right now would be worse than Chelsea, I don't believe you. I don't believe you at all. In fact, I think that's wild to me because for a player, Chelsea has been horrible. For a player. Look at how many players that they've signed and how many have worked out for a player. Let's not talk about the fact that, okay, you can say Chelsea are going to, have done this or they've done that. What have they actually done? They've won 2 completely made up trophies, the third tier European trophy. Congratulations. But regardless, even if you think their club project is sort of going on the way, what are they doing for a player? Look at all of their signings. Look at how many players that they've brought in and what it has actually done and how many of them are still there. They're just, it's their project is just throwing more and more players at the wall until it sticks. You know what I mean? Let me pull up Chelsea's signings so you can see what I mean and say, if you're a player at Chelsea, they've fucking destroyed more careers over these last few years than we have. All right. Look at this transfers that they've got here. All right. So they have João Pedro. All right. That's sort of working out, but you're going to have to compete with him immediately. Hello? What a website. All right. You're going to have to compete with João Pedro right off the bat. Gittins already looks like a flop. Garnacho, you've signed him. Now, what are you going to sign someone to bench him immediately? Esteval looks like a decent player. Delap, you've already signed Pedro and Delap. Their careers are now ruined if you're signing Semenyo to come in as a striker. You know, like, look at all of these players. Where is their careers going? Dizassi, João Felix, you know, like some of these are departure, you know, no, these are João Felix, Chukwuemeka. I mean, the list, when you go down this, if you want to talk about destroying careers, that's insane. It's crazy. The number of players' careers that they have screwed. Look at Nkunku, look at their departures and you can see it. Dewsbury Hall came for a year, gone. It's Nicholas Jackson. I mean, he's ended up here at Bayern, or where's he gone now? He's somewhere else. But it's like they just toss you aside at the first sign of any sort of trouble, and they'll just keep signing more players. I would absolutely question the IQ of anybody who would join Chelsea as a player, because I look at that and I go, what does that even mean? You know, Gittins and Garnacho for 92 million. It's been 6 months and they want to sign someone else over the top of it? Yeah. Any player would be a fool. Any player would be a fool to join Chelsea with what they're doing. It actually makes no sense to me in that respect. No sense at all to choose Chelsea right now. But yeah, look, you look at some of the reports right now in terms of what's actually going on. Chelsea are the latest club to register an interest. United have had many, many talks over the recent times. Obviously, of City, United, Liverpool, Tottenham, and now Chelsea. The two Manchester clubs are believed to have had the most concrete conversations so far. Liverpool have checked in, remains to be seen. Tottenham, outsiders. Chelsea, a late twist. They already have several wide options. Pedro, Willian, Esteval, William, Garnacho, Gittins, Net, you know, they have so many players. Yeah. I don't know, man. When I look at it from this sense, I just think that's sort of crazy. And we already heard about, and then look up Quenda. Didn't want to join as a fullback. He's joining in summer. He's coming to Chelsea in summer. Giovanni Quenda, don't forget, there's another wide player they've already signed that they left on loan that is now joining. He didn't want to join us as a wingback. Good luck, dumbass. You've ruined your career. You're going to be in Strasbourg next season. You know, as a player, going to Chelsea is one of the worst decisions you can make for your career. You know, because they will buy so many players that you will be tossed aside. Almost 90% of them will be tossed aside and sent off to other clubs. But regardless, we heard all of this with Delap. We heard all this with Delap in the prelude. It was, he's actually leaning United. Oh, Champions League is not a big deal. Champions League is a big deal. He's leaning Chelsea. He's actually going to go to this club. Whatever, man. It's just noise. It's just noise. Here's the truth of the situation, and this is the only thing that I can say that is honest, okay? United feel that they've presented a very good football project to him, and they feel that that's going to be the decision maker, and they think that they have presented a very, very good football project to him. That's it. They presented a plan in which case they see, one, that he's going to have a very, very regular playing position in many different positions that he can play, including in the 9, including out wide, and including in the 10s. And that he fits a profile that is lacking in the team right now. There are so many different ways that he can play with this team. And they feel that they've presented that project. They also feel that they've presented a very solid case in the same way that they were able to convince Cunha and Mbeumo, which is that we are having, that you are going to be a core part of the team, that you're going to be a core part of the team that is going to rebuild United. You're going to be a key Oh, that thing. Thanks. Anyway, they feel that they've presented that project to him the same way that they presented it to Cunha and Mbumo. That not only is there a position for you here, a position at left wing back, a position at left 10, a position at right 10, a position at right wing back, a position at striker. There's so many places that you can play in this team right now. So many ways you can be utilized. So much future in it. But also the fact that you, alongside Cunha and Mbumo as Premier League players, can be the key guys for the next 5-8 years to bring United back where it needs to be. That you are a part of a project that has aims to win a title. They will lay out those plans, exactly how they aim to get the club back to title winning within the next few years, which they still feel good about. And most people in football don't have the view of the panicked online fans about United this season. In fact, most people believe United are one of the better teams in the Premier League and are showing significant progress. I mean, the stats tell the tale on that. United should be. Expected points is a wonderful stat. Somewhat useless, but also not, because it's a fairly predictive stat more than anything else, that United are probably the third best performing team in the Premier League right now. That's how most people in football feel about it. So despite the panic from fans around online, United have a very, very strong case on this. But United feel they presented a very good project. That's the key. So that's what they think. They presented a very, very good project to Semenyo and presented a very, very strong case for why he should join the football club and presented a very strong case for how he can be a part of what brings United back to the top. It's a good pitch for a great club with a lot of history. It's a pitch that worked for Cunha. It's a pitch that worked for Mbumo. It's a pitch that worked for Šeško. So why I feel good about it, I don't pretend to know, what goes on in I wouldn't pretend to know like what goes on in Semenyo's head. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I know he's leaning this way or he's leaning that way. I don't have a picture of him leaning or, stepping on a hopscotch with 4 different teams on it, hopping around back and forth. I don't know. Nobody does. But what I do know is that United feel good about it, and they've had a good track record in this last summer and these last windows of convincing players. Unless they were silly and were like demanding Champions League. And to be quite honest, the 2 players that turned us around because of Champions League are Gyökeres and Delap, who are both flops, who both been shit. So it's like if we end up getting turned down because we're not in Champions League or something like that, that just tells me that's not a smart player. Player who makes poor decisions for their careers. Because the 2 guys who turned us down, you look at them and you go, dumbasses. Like, Gyökeres picked probably the worst possible fit for him from a football standpoint, but they have Champions League. And Delap picked Chelsea for what? For Champions League? Okay. Cool. How'd that work out for you? So it is what it is. In that respect, I'm not worried about it. I think that we've got a very, very strong football project. And again, when you compare it to like City, you look at City and you go, they bought all these forwards. You don't actually have a clear spot. At number 9, you have Erling Haaland, the best striker in football. On the left wing, you've got Doku. Where's your position? Right? Where's your position that you're nailed on to be playing for? Yeah, City are always going to be a good club, but is Pep going to be there next year? We don't know. It's an unknown. It's a question. It's a confusion. At Chelsea, you already have João Pedro. Is he suddenly not useful? You have Gittins and Garnacho, and you've got all these players. You've got Pedro Neto. You've got so many. For us, you've got a young striker in Šeško at 9, a backup who's not a 9 in Xerxes. You've got Mbumo and Cunha as the only actual forwards for those 2 positions. You've got nobody for the left wing back position. And even if we were to change formation at some point and go to a 4 at the back and you wanted a left winger, you don't have a left winger. Semenyo would be the left winger. Cunha would probably have to come into a central role and Mbumo would be our right winger. And all of that. You have Cherki, you have Foden at City. Like, you have the best chance from a football perspective to be a key part of the team playing every single week at United. That's the facts. Even compared to Liverpool. Now, you could say we could replace Salah. Well, we don't know. They're going to make the decision today to move Salah on. You know, they haven't done that in a while. Right, and then you have Estevao and Quenda joining Chelsea as well. The reality is, again, United have the best opportunity for him to play the most football. And that's why it makes the most sense. That's why I feel good about it. And I think that's why United feel good about it. But I know that they feel they've presented a strong football project. After that, I'm not going to make guesses as to which direction he's going in. I choose to feel a bit more optimistic about this, given that I feel we're as in the race as anyone, and logically, I think we have the best case to present right now. So I'm feeling good about this. Now, there was a little bit of strong reaching a little earlier today. A little bit of strong reaching from earlier today about, a little bit of a strong reach about the whole changing system, the whole this and that type of thing for Semenyo. Again, I think a little bit dramatic. Chelsea have decided they will not be pursuing Antoine Semenyo any further at this point. Oh, that panic. James, why are you getting everything wrong? Chelsea. That was quick. Relax, buddies. He's obviously making his choice, and it seems like it's not Chelsea. I don't know who's posting it, but regardless, it could still not be us. But Chelsea are already out. Fabrizio, Chelsea have decided not to proceed with Antoine Semenyo deal after making an inquiry earlier today. The club won't activate his option. There you go. So there you have it. All that panic over Chelsea for nothing. Is that your Manc accent? No, I wasn't making fun of Manchester people. I was making fun of dummies who are giving me comments in the chat about silly things. I ain't heard no bell saying Manchester United are out. I ain't heard no bell. Until I hear we're out, we're in. Until I hear we're out, we're in. So this is good, you know? And we were just getting all this drama about how, it was City until Chelsea. But Chelsea aren't even an option. Not you, Ramon. No, look, the reality is we've got a good shot at this. It's, to me, real world, it's 50-50. When I look at the between us and City, we usually win. That's why I feel optimistic. That's why I feel like optimistic. It feels 50-50 to me in terms of like there's two options on the table. Who have we lost to City? Who have we lost to City over the years? We still got history. We're still Manchester United. It'll be sad if we lose to City, especially with Pep's future in question. You know what I mean? It'll be sad if we do. That was a quick brief, you know. Chelsea decide against it. Confidence in depth and quality of existing options. Yeah. AKA, hell no. I don't want to compete with 65 other players at Chelsea right now. You know? That's a Chelsea brief, you notice. Like the fact that it came out from all these journalists all at once, that's Chelsea briefing. And to me, that says he rejected them and they wanted to get a brief out real fast. That's what that says to me. Grealish, we didn't lose Grealish to City. They paid over $100 million for him. We didn't even make that kind of offer. Haaland, we refused to include a release clause that they included. You know, we actually don't generally lose to City in terms of transfer targets. Sometimes that hasn't worked out in our favor, but but yeah, look, that screams to me of Semenyo said, nah, no thank you. And then Chelsea gave a quick brief. But that tells me Semenyo's not a total dummy.
games, Morgan Rogers named United as the biggest club and even
I
commented
know.
on Instagram to congratulate Jack Fletcher on his debut. Seems like he wants United. Possible Bruno replacement?
Yeah, I know. Morgan Rogers is like dancing. Morgan Rogers is dancing for United, isn't he? The goals against us, the comments, the performances, all of that. But I don't. Is he really a Bruno replacement? I mean, he's a forward, right? He's definitely a forward. Like, I don't think Aston Villa will sell him for anything, but he is a United fan and all that as well. But I don't think Aston Villa are going to sell him under any like. There's just no way. You know what I mean? There's just no way. I heard things about him maybe having a release clause, but like, there's just no way. Look, if Morgan Rogers has a release clause, that everybody's going to trigger it. But like, where does he even play? You know, Morgan Rogers is great. Morgan Rogers is a great player, but yeah, he's more like Cunha than Bruno. Yeah, I mean, look, I would love to stockpile some forwards, but maybe we have a little bit. But right now I'm good. Right now I'm good. Right now I'm good. Right now I'm okay. I don't know. It's obviously, it doesn't feel like we're gonna be doing it. It doesn't feel like we're gonna be doing it. You know. You didn't see Semenyo speak on Anfield and how good. I don't care what Semenyo said. Liverpool aren't in there. To be fair though, I really don't care who's a United fan and who isn't at this point. If they sign, they're a United fan. They don't, then they're a fraud. It's that simple. Like, I don't know. Have we not learned this yet? It's kind of that easy. You think you'd rather him over Semeno? I think you could make a case. I think you could make a case either way, to be quite honest. I think they're bringing different things to the table. I'll be honest with you. I think that we have a bigger need for Semenyo, because we don't have that pace out wide. We don't have any PMP out wide, to be honest. Like, we have Mbumo to a degree on the right, obviously, but we don't have any sort of pace and power out wide that can play on the left. And I do think that's a balance issue that we've had for quite some time. You know what I mean? It's a balance issue, because it should have been Rashford, right? Even then, he was probably better closer to goal, was Rashford, a little more down the middle. It should have been him. You know, Garnacho played a lot because he brought that, even though he was kind of crap. Some pace out wide from that left side. We don't have that. We know how often we're missing that pace and power on the left side. I do think we need what Semenyo brings a little bit more than what Rogers has, just because we have other players that do similar things to Morgan Rogers, but we really don't have a guy like Semenyo who can do it everywhere. I would be running Rogers, Cunha, and Mbumo all day as a front three. Whatever position, whatever formation we're playing, I would be doing that, to be fair. But if you really want to go attacking, you can also play so many players from out wide, and it makes a huge difference. I wanted to talk about this amusing thing about like a formation change with Semenyo thing, or the way that people are reading into, to me, what is essentially marketing. All right, and that marketing is, we're gonna do like a system change for Semenyo or something. First of all, it was already stated, for what it's worth, it was already stated that that we were going to present to Semenyo this idea of all these different ways he can play, even if we're doing something in the future, even if we changed systems, even if we changed formations. This was already reported. We know this because, again, one of the biggest reasons we want Semenyo is because of this whole thing that he offers a profile we don't have. This pacey player who can play on the left. We don't have that player. We've got Ahmad and Mbumo on the right. Semenyo offers something very different that can play off of the left. He can play everywhere, but he can do that off of the left. We don't have it. We've been lacking it for some time. But the thing that kind of amuses me is that, like, immediately when you get this sort of like, again, I think Fabrizio, credit to him on this. He's talking about it because we're selling the project, right? It's marketing speak. It's a little over dramatic. They're going to change systems if Semenyo comes in, and I think that immediately when people do that, when you say change system, I saw so many people jump to like, oh, we're going to a back four, but like that doesn't make any sense. If you think about it, like here's the funny part. I'm going to pull up our team on a screen for a minute, because first of all, no, we're not like dumping everything we've just been building up if we get Semenyo. That's not the plan. That's not how it's working. But it's also like sort of ironic, because if you look at our team right now, first of all, I've shown this before. It's sort of simple, but like it's already, when you play with the players that we have now, it already fades into a 4 very, very often, right? We know that. Very often, one of the fullbacks is coming back. One of them's coming deeper. You're ending up in something like a 4-4-2. It happens all the time. Peter Hood with the 10 gifted memberships to the community. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate you. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody. But thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. So if you look at it, we've done this quite a few times, this sort of 4-4-2 thing. Whoever's playing off of the left, be it Cunha or Mount, drops. One of the fullbacks goes up a little bit more. These two are playing up front a little bit more. One could sit there and say, oh, okay, we're going to get Semenyo in here and we're going to play a 4-4-2. It's still going to be the 3-4-3. It's always variable, because then in possession, no matter who's on the pitch, it's supposed to look like this. And we'll end up looking like a 3-1-6. But the idea that somehow, here's what the point I wanted to make. All right? Here's the point I wanted to make about this. Okay? If you were to go to a 4 at the back, all you're doing is saying, how does Semenyo help that? How does Semenyo make it a 4 at the back? Like, how does Semenyo change this 3 at the back thing? Explain how adding Semenyo to this would make it a 4 at the back. It doesn't even logically make sense. Like, we already do a sort of a 4 at the back in game. A change in system is more likely something like this, right? Where instead of, maybe a change in system means we're going with 2 attacking wide players.
What percent right now, Woo?
Still 65%. Still 65% from yesterday. I never thought Chelsea was serious. Okay? Like, how does Semenyo make it a 4 at the back? If anything, he's either replacing Šeško, or he's going to play out wide, and that's going to allow us to play a 3-2-5 with more attacking players. And that means in the midfield, we'll go less attacking, which is, of course, the long-term idea, to get 2 workhorses in here and go with 2 attacking wingbacks, which is what he did at Sporting with Maxi Araujo and Giovanni Quenda. So if it's going to be a change in system, it's going to look more like that, because otherwise, how are you getting all these players on the pitch? It means Ahmad or Cunha is benched. And how does that make a 4 at the back? And why? It doesn't make any sense. We just paid 60-something million for Cunha. Ahmad's got a new contract as one of our most important players. He's the only guy who does this role out on the right in Amorim's system quite well. None of that makes any sense. He might come in at striker. That's not going to change the system. We're just going to be doing the same thing. So, regardless of any of that, correct. The long-term idea was 3 at the back, 2 athletic mids, and 5 attacking players. We've been interested anyway. So the reality is what we probably see is again, we're going to go for 2 more attacking players in this kind of position. 2 more defensive, more athletic midfielders, and just get a bunch of attackers over here. You know, none of it really changes particularly much either way. Manchester City are pushing a lot in the last 12 hours. Viana's direct talks with the players' camp. They want to finalize as soon as possible. United are still insisting. Liverpool monitoring. Chelsea are out. Yeah, it doesn't really tell us anything new yet. We're still waiting. City are pushing. Hugo Viana is pushing. So, yeah, this would be, to me, this is more Amorim's, like, final play. You know what I'm saying? Anderson, right? But here's the point. Let's say you wanted to sign Anderson, right? This would be maybe more final form. But let's take this for a minute. Let's say again, let's go back. Okay, 4-2-3-1. All right, what does that look like? Once again, let's say you're going to somehow squeeze Cunha into the middle as a 10. Again, all you're doing then is saying, like, I just want to explain something here. All you've done is dropped Ahmad for Semenyo. That doesn't really make sense. Why would we do that? That's not raising our levels. Arguably, I think you could make a case. Personally, I would make the case that Ahmad is a better player than Semenyo right now. I'm not gonna lie. I would make that case. I think Ahmad is absolutely insane. I think he's a better player than Semenyo right now. Why would I want to drop Ahmad for Semenyo so I can play Dallo? That doesn't make sense to me. We've just gotten weaker in doing this. This doesn't add up to me. So I don't see how a change there, because if you flip this again to this 3 at the back, all you've done now is said, like, if you look at it as a 3-4-3, it's the same, except you've swapped Semenyo to the other side and swapped Dallo to this side and taken Ahmad off the pitch. That doesn't make any sense. That seems to be weakening the team. And if it's Šeško bench, well, cool. Then there's no change in system. If he's rotation in there, then there's no change in system, because obviously it's still just going to be Dallo with Ahmad over here. And that's cool. I'm good with this team, But that might be how it works too. You might have times when you play 2 attacking fullbacks. You might have times when you play a striker. You might have whatever, right? So we'll see. We will see. There's a lot of things that can happen here. But I don't see any way that signing another forward makes us play fewer forwards. Like, do you get how silly that is as a thought process, right? Obviously, what's going to change and what can change within it is when you have more attackers on the pitch, that instead of, like, let's look at it this way, right? Let's look at it this way. Instead of, like, maybe sliding back defensively in a 4-4-2 at times, instead of doing this, maybe the system changes to where you're doing this. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, then it's a 4-3-3 in a different setup and things like that. It doesn't matter, but it's still the same thing. Guys, I know what Fabrizio tweeted. He hasn't said anything about what Semenyo wants yet. It says City want an answer as soon as possible. It doesn't say that he's chosen City. He doesn't say anything. He hasn't said anything yet. We'll see. If maybe he chooses City, maybe he doesn't. We haven't seen anything yet to say that he's choosing City. This is Fabrizio's doing his job, okay? Give it a rest. It's fine. We know that City are pushing for it. It's fine. We know that, okay? That's not my concern right now. All I'm worried about is what he's going to choose. That's all that matters. He hasn't said anything. Fabrizio's just doing his job. Look, if he was leaning City and they're pushing so hard, then it'd be done already, right? If it's done, it's done. If it's not done, then it's not done. You know what I mean? Yeah, the right formation, it won't be rigid. Exactly. It's going to be the 3-4-3, the 3-5-2, the 4-4-2, the 3-1-6, all of that. If you look at the Villa game and our shape in that game, let me try to find it and pull it up here, because I think that even could be considered a change, in formation comparatively to what we were doing before. If one wanted to like stretch the definition a little bit, of system and all of that, because we actually saw for the first time, essentially the 3-1-6. We saw both fullbacks super high, and the midfield more conservative, in that respect. So when I'm looking at it, I'm saying from the perspective that I have, this could be considered a system change. You know what I mean? Because we're actually seeing it. And you could go with two really hardworking midfielders in the middle who sit deep, and then you have 5 up front. This is what we played against Villa. Maybe that's the system change. People keep saying we've changed the system recently. This is what it was supposed to look like. But if this is Semenyo and this is Ahmad, that's amazing. They're 2 of the most forward players on the pitch. What's wrong with that? That works to me. I'd be happy with that. So, yeah, and if you were to say, one thing I could see is to say, hey, we don't want you doing tons of defending, but first of all, he's got a great defensive work rate from Bournemouth and all of that as well. But yeah, out of possession, if we end up with 2 attacking fullbacks, yes, the possession shape, the out of possession shape will change a little. It certainly will. It always does. But plenty of it will change. If I made as much money as Fab off of one tweet, I'd never show. Fair. Yeah, 3-2-5 is exactly what it is. If we can get 5 attacking players, that's the next evolution of our system. Have 5 attacking players, 2 hardworking midfielders, 3 defenders. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. So, look, I think people are very, very much reaching on this point about a system change and being dramatic about it right now. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Like I said, I think United have sent a good project, a good plan, a good idea of what they want to do. We'll find out soon, I guess. I mean, we got that answer on Chelsea really fast about them being out. We're still there. It's funny because 2 hours ago, Fabrizio does an update on Instagram and says that, Manchester United are really pushing right now. They're really pushing. Change the system. And then 2 hours later, City are really pushing. Hugo Viana is having direct talks. It's business, man. It's business. We'll see. Like I said, it's probably 50-50. I just feel good about it. That's all. Personally, I feel good about it. But I'm not going to pretend to know what's in Semenyo's head. I just feel good about it because I think United have presented a good plan. That's all. I just think United have presented a good plan, and I'm happy with that.
Why do I feel like you are holding back info from us, lol? Looking like a guy who is struggling to keep a secret, lol.
Here's
Keep up E2'd work as always.
Here's the thing, right? I'm not holding anything back, because the problem is that the people think that sometimes, okay? I just want to be clear. People think that sometimes. But then if it doesn't work out, they'll say that I was sitting there, getting it wrong, thinking that the player's coming to United. I'm not making that claim. I feel optimistic about it. I feel we have the best chance based on everything. I don't know what the hell he has decided. I don't know anything about Semenyo's side. I just have a little bit of trust in our club when I look at Cunha and Mbumo. You know what I mean? Because when we went through summer, I remember how the Mbumo thing went. And when we started with Mbumo, we were not in the lead. And then I started hearing good things, and then he turned to us. gave us priority. And I reported that at the time. If I was sure that he was giving us priority, I would tell you. I said I was hearing good things about Mbumo right before David Ornstein put it out that he gave us priority, that we were in discussions with him to convince him, and it was starting to go well. All I know is from United's perspective that they feel they've presented a strong football project forward here. That's it. Cunha and Brian were Man United fans. I mean, not to a degree. I mean, as much as you want to be. I don't know I don't know really were they Man United fans and all of that. Don't know. But look, Fabrizio said City want an answer quickly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I remember that clip of it when when Mbumo chose us, the celebrations. I'm so glad we got it over the line after that, because that could have gone really ugly. Could have gone really bad. But yeah, look, I guess I don't know, man. I just here's how I feel about it, okay? And you guys tell me what you think. By the way, who got the thumbnail? How many people in here? Tell me if you didn't get the thumbnail. It's either you're too young, or you've had zero exposure to like one of the biggest sports superstars in his history on the planet. And I know it's an American sport, but certainly you still should know who that is. But tell me if you didn't get the thumbnail. I'm really curious if anybody didn't get it, because I thought it was some of my best work. No idea. Yeah, it's LeBron to the Heat. It was one of the. It was this. It was like. It's a whole infamous moment from history of sports. And LeBron does an interview telling everyone he's going to the Heat, and it's like this big thing. And that's a picture from and that's a picture from it when he made his decision to go to Miami, and he said I'm taking my talents to South Beach and all of that. Anyway, look it up, because it's like a very infamous moment in sports. But that's a picture right there of LeBron, and it's Semenyo. Obviously, it's Semenyo's face on it, but that's LeBron's like suit, like shirt and everything. Like, yeah, that was the moment. So yeah, I just thought it was I thought it was funny. You don't think anyone in Europe cares about the NBA? I think that's not true. I think the NBA is actually pretty big in Europe, especially given the amount of crossover you have between Euro players in the NBA right now. I mean, you've got Jokic and you've got Luka Doncic, and you've got so many big stars who are coming from. I mean, and not even just now, but historically. I mean, Luka Doncic was a Real Madrid player, if I'm not mistaken. You've got a lot of big NBA stars right now who played in Europe, who are Europeans. You guys people should care. I think people care about it. I think the NBA is kind of big in Europe these days. There's a lot of great European players right now who are some of the best. And Wemby, yeah. I think the NBA is huge in Europe, actually. To be quite honest, maybe not in England, but it's huge. Yeah, Wemby, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's blowing up in terms of Euro players coming over. It's pretty awesome. I love it. I think that's cool. I think they bring something different. You know what I mean? I think they bring something different, and I think it's awesome. For sure. For sure. I think it's awesome. My team would be the Bulls. It's always been the Bulls, which have a very, very historically a lot of parallels to United. Maybe the GOAT coach, or at least was one of the best players of all time, best teams of all time, era of dominance owned by clowns who've driven it into dirt for 20-something years. You know, a lot of parallels there. A lot of parallels, unfortunately. Just the peak for the Bulls was like 15 years ahead of Manchester United. So yeah, it's there's a lot of parallels. It's a long-suffering parallel there. Bulls' current state have made the Bulls tough. Bulls' situation is definitely tough. Not a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm from Chicago originally, so they are my local in terms of basketball team. That's why. So it's not just like it's not just the glory hunting and that aspect. The Bulls were my local team. So I grew up in Chicago during the Jordan era, and yeah, I've got personal connection to it all. They used to my family, we used to go to a gym when I was young, where the Bulls would practice way back in the day. I actually played against Jordan's kids. No shit. I played against Jordan's kids in high school. Not at the same school, but competing schools. So no, I've got a lot of connection to Chicago and the Bulls, yeah. In that respect, like personal, like history. I also no. Hold on a second. The kids are younger than me. They're in the class below. I didn't play against them myself, but my team, my high school did when they were younger. But when they were when I was at the end and they were coming into high school. But yeah, it was interesting times. I was, but you know, there's a point where the height really gets you as you get older. And that was one of the sports that certainly the height definitely was a limiting factor once you get into high school and beyond. You know? Yeah, I'm definitely not tall enough for basketball, okay? That was an issue. Height kills you at some point. No, I'm not tall for a content creator. I think there's a lot of content creators who are actually kind of short, but yeah, that was an issue. But yeah, we got derailed there, but it was just important to cover the history. You learn a little backstory every time. But yeah, anyway, whatever. Where were we? What else did I want to talk about? Right. So we're waiting on Semenyo. We're waiting on hearing what he's gonna do next. Chelsea are already out of the race. Tottenham are out of the race. It's starting to get close. We could hear very soon. City are asking for an answer right away. They want to know. Could we? The next thing is either going to be City are out. He's rejected. He's chosen Manchester United. Or, obviously, they're going to choose City. He's going to choose City. We'll find out. We will find out, man. Nobody knows. They already said he was leaning City in the beginning. You know what I mean? They already said City was leading in the beginning. You know what I mean? That was the initial report. And the last thing we got from Ornstein is that it's neck and neck. Like I said, I don't take much stock in a lot of those types of reports because the reality is they're either in or out. You know what I mean? And a lot of times reports are trying to get ahead of what is going to happen and predict it. And, you know, we saw that so much with Delap and this and that and Mbeumo. Until he says, I chose this club. I'm taking my talents to Manchester. Oops, still don't know if he says that, who he's taking his talents to. Then we don't know. You know what I mean? Until he says that, it's an unknown for us. And everybody's playing guess until that point in time. Sure, City are pushing. City are looking at it and saying, probably Chelsea coming in, City are like, hey, hold up. Who are you? You know, what's going on here? Are you going to choose us or not? He's already told Chelsea no. I feel like, though, here's what I was going to say. And you guys can speculate with me on this, all right? If we were not going to be in on this, I for some reason, I feel like we would know already. And you could say the same for City, except that you look at City as kind of like, you know, sort of favorites in this respect of like, yeah, I don't know. Except it all sort of started after the Bournemouth game. We got into it with everybody. It's just, you know, United are quick to pull back if they don't think they have a chance on something. They're usually very, very quick to pull away if they don't have a chance at it. And we've gotten a lot of stories from United's side this last week about, you know, them feeling kind of good about it. So I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be. I feel good, but we'll see. We'll see. We will see. We will see. What do you guys think? Should I poll it again? How do we? Let me end this poll and let me ask you guys right now in the chat. Between us and City, how are you guys feeling right now? Because I think logically, when I look at it just in terms of the reporting, I think it's 50-50, but there's things I that make me feel like we've got hope. You know what I mean? I want to join Manchester. I want to play where Tevez played. But you remember that, yeah, that's the thing, Daniel. So, like, he talks about Calvin Phillips. He talks about joining a club full of stars already. Is that where he wants to go? A club full of ready-made stars, players who are already done, players where you're going to struggle to shine in? Or do you want to go somewhere where you can have a platform to become a legend? You know what I mean? That's the sales pitch. That's the point. That's the point, bikers. Okay, that was what I was trying to say there. I couldn't figure out how to say it. If City are pushing, it means he hasn't said yes. If City asks you to go and you want to join, you say you just join, right? Like, I don't feel like City are a convincing club. Do you get what I mean by that? I don't think City are a club that take time to convince someone. Right? You know what City are. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you know what City are. You know what they are already. United has to sell you a bit of a project. City shouldn't have to sell you. You know who City are. So if you're going to say yes, surely you say yes already. Right? But United got to sell you a bit. You need to be sure with United that what's your plan for recruitment. You know, with United, you do have to ask more questions because there's more doubts. Of course, you got to ask more questions. But if it's City and you want him, you're doing it. I feel like he wants it to be United. That's just how I feel. He wants it to be United. I think City is the easy route. I want you to be like Kevin Durant and take the hardest road. That's another NBA joke. But I want you to take the hardest road. Take the one less traveled. Help bring this club back. That's my hope that we can sell him on that. That's my hope that is the feeling he has in his mind, that I want to take the hardest road. I don't know. I've just got hope, but I've always got hope with United and getting players. I don't know. He's done it his whole career. Yeah, he has. He's taken interesting moves. Semenyo has. Got a good training ground. Maybe he saw it when he was there. I'm just saying, man. He threw a little shade at City. It's the road less traveled, yeah. And yes, correct. That's the thing too. With United, with Semenyo again, because he's a profile we haven't
stop
had.
Having us wait, lol.
There's no secret. There's no secret. I'm sitting here yapping to you guys, coping just as hard as everybody else that we're gonna get this done. Okay, I am. That's what I'm doing. I don't have any secret that tells me we're gonna, that for sure he's coming or something. I don't have it. I ain't got anything to say. I'm just trying to. I don't know. This Quenda 2.0? No, because it's different, man. It's different. I'm not omniscient, it's kind of funny, but it's like sometimes the chat bounces between James, you don't know anything, and James, you're holding back on knowing everything. And I promise you it's not either one of those. I'm gonna have to go in like 5 minutes. If I had the secret to spill, I would be spilling, but I don't. Like I said, I don't play that game. I don't play that game of trying to be right on guessing where he's gonna go when I don't actually know. I'm not gonna play that game. I'm not gonna say where he's leaning. I don't know any of that. I only speak from the perspectives of what I know. Who would you choose as a player? It's impossible for me to answer that because I would choose United every time, but that's different, I'm at 65%. Again, I think it's logically 50-50, but I just feel like there's a better case from a football standpoint for Semenyo to join United. That's what I think. That there's a better case from a football standpoint for Semenyo to choose United, to go to United. I think there's more routes for him to play. That's all. I don't have any other insight other than that. Based on the presentation, based on what United are saying, based on what United are doing, I think they've presented a solid project that in that case will mean there's going to be more position from him. Now, I find it interesting. One thing I'm unsure of is like, how does this change this whole like Viana thing with City, obviously, because they got a different recruiter now. Is Viana trying to move them beyond into something else later? But like, obviously they're pushing pretty hard. I don't know. I'm coping with you guys. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I say this with all the love in the world, but everybody here knows for a fact that Semenyo communicated his decision to you this morning. Just admit it. Wink twice if the news is currently embargoed.
All right, we'll be ending it here today. I do not know.
I feel the decision will be out tonight.
I think so, yeah. I think we're going to find out tonight or tomorrow. I think we're going to find out tomorrow or tonight or early tomorrow, like before Christmas. Before the next match week, you know what I mean? Games kick off like Christmas, Boxing Day, the weekend. I think we're going to find out before Christmas. Because I think this has got to be settled previously, prior to this next match week, because then the next match week rolls into like the to New Year's and the things like that. I'm milking this for Patreon. Like you guys are giving me too much credit. I don't know. Too much credit. Yeah, but I feel like we got to know it before Christmas. Today or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow morning. That's what I think. Fab said the race for Semenyo is close to coming to an end. Yeah, it is. It is. What was the transfer you thought would happen and didn't and disappointed you the most? So I didn't, funnily enough, I didn't follow transfers for like up until really just before starting this community. So I'll give the answer from the perspective of since then, because there's been transfers that are close or have been close. But the biggest one for me will always be Declan Rice, because there was multiple occasions where it was on the table for us. Talks, spoke, we presented it, we went over it, and then we just didn't do it. And it was since I've covered transfers, to me that is still far and away the silliest miss, because we still need it. We still need exactly what we should have had in Declan Rice. There was obviously more before that, obviously, but I'm saying since I started covering it, in terms of like hearing info and things like that, it was Rice. Rice was the one that was like, it's so nailed on that we're going to go for him. And then we just didn't do it. So silly. It's ridiculous. So that one for me. That was it for me. Ronaldinho back in the day. I mean, as a general fan, beforehand, there was others. But I didn't keep up with the news that much.
Dude. Have you seen Nick Haar's piece on Man City's intimidation when he was at Daily Mail? Damn.
I did read some of that. And I meant to get back to it. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. For sure.
So what percentage are we on now?
I haven't moved. Chelsea didn't move me, and they were gone, and they're already gone from the race. I haven't moved. We're going to hear it. If I'm around, I'll go live later when we hear it. If it's tomorrow morning, we'll find out then, but it's going to be soon. The decision's coming to the end. We're going to find out where Antoine Semenyo is taking his talents. But yeah, look, summarizing everything we've talked about today, like I said, look, all I know, truthfully, is that United feel they presented a strong football project in the sense of where you can play, different positions, different roles, the fit within the team, the way it's going to work for him, in the project itself, in terms of where we're going in the future from here. You know what I mean? They feel good about that they've presented a plan where probably he's going to play the most. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel good about it. I don't know anything from his perspective on that front, but he was very close to joining us in summer, and clearly he's, the fact that we're still in it in a second round, I think is good. I think that's a good thing. That's a good sign. I tend to feel like we beat City to transfers. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know which way he's leaning. So I feel good about it. My own personal opinions are pushing it from 50 to 65%, but that's just me. You could see that differently. Otherwise, this whole talk about system change and things like that, it's maybe a little this, that. You're always working within a system and evolving. It's already been evolving, and there's more evolutions to come. But I don't think this is like some magical change to four at the back setup for, it's a very fluid formation regardless. So it'll look a little bit different either way. And again, there's many positions Semenyo could play in, as well with that. Other than that, that's all I want to talk about today. Until this Semenyo thing is done, it's hard to think about too much else until we figure it out. It's gonna be sad if we don't get him, because we're not like particularly close on anybody else in January. We want our long-term targets. This is the golden opportunity. I hope we pull it off. All right. I've got to run. I have to go to something, and then we'll see if I'm back later or not, depending on what comes down the line.
I think it depends on the manager and the project. If City can't guarantee that Pep will be there in a starting position, then it's to be us.
Right. Well, and that's where I feel like Viana's probably trying to convince him that, that like if City are pushing so hard, I feel like they're trying to convince, look, like to show him the project for the future, but because you shouldn't have to convince that hard if you know Pep's there. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're trying to, I don't know. That just gives me doubt about City. That just makes me feel doubt about them. But maybe I'm reading into it, maybe not. Don't know. For us, I don't think it matters whether Amram's here or not, because Semenyo brings a profile we don't have. City have that profile. They've got Marmouche, and they've got Doku, and they've got a lot of similar players who can play in the positions where Heapy wanted to play in, and they have Holland at striker, you know? So we'll see, okay? Really, all we're looking at is that obviously City are more successful right now. We're not. It's all about thinking for the future, okay? So that's it. It's over. He's chosen City. It's over. It's done. It's over. Well, there it is. We can end it there. We missed out. He went to City. I told you I didn't know any secrets. We're screwed. He's chosen City. All right. What a shame. Sad. What a bummer. Well, we ended up waiting until it happened anyway. Imagine choosing City, man. Oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. I guess that's it. Who do we pivot to? I got no idea. I got no idea. Well, we didn't expect to get him earlier. We're not getting him. Any other long-term targets that could come up? That is what it is. Well, we've all sat here depressed. We've all sat here with hope, with sadness, with depression, and now it's over. Did I know this all along? No, I told you I don't know. I don't know. Take the money and get a midfielder. Who? Who's available? We don't have anybody. Pain. We don't have any long-term targets. We don't have anybody else. All right. Well, I gotta go. We'll see. Good luck with City. Can we bring someone in January? I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. Hopefully we can turn to some kind of midfielder. I still really think we should be going and getting a midfielder. We need to rebuild that whole midfield. All right, guys. Well, it ends with sadness. It's Jover. He should have picked us. I feel he's going to regret it. Like Jack Grealish, like others. Maybe we go get Morgan Rogers in the summer instead if we want another forward. All right. See you later, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ruined your Christmas. He's definitely not wrong. If he said that, he said it. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Might be back later, but we'll see. We all had hope together, and now it's over. Goodbye, Semenyo. Goodbye, everybody. See you later.